Welcome everybody, my name is Brendan Snyder, thank you for joining me. Unfortunately, we have lost one of rock's most amazing guitar players. This one is a really truly heartbreaking one. Eddie Van Halen has passed away on October 6th at the age of 65 following a long battle with cancer. His health issues date back to 2000 when he was first treated for tongue cancer. And while initially declaring that he was cancer-free in 2002, it would return in 2011 and spread to his esophagus. Later it would spread to his throat and eventually his brain. And despite being a heavy smoker, Eddie Van Halen actually believed that his cancer was caused by holding a metal guitar pick in his mouth in the exact spot where they first found the cancer. While there's no proof to this is Eddie Van Halen's belief. And Eddie Van Halen was born in the Netherlands, but he moved to Southern California with his family at the age of 7. He first learned piano before moving to drums and eventually swapping with his brother Alex and playing guitar. Eddie and Alex Van Halen formed their first band in 1964, eventually evolving to Mammoth and adding David Lee Roth on vocals and Michael Anthony on bass. In 1974, they changed their name to Van Halen at the insistence of David Lee Roth. And in 1976, they recorded demos with Gene Simmons of Kiss, although they didn't generate interest at the time. Eventually, though, the band would sign a recording contract in 1977 with Warner Brothers. And their debut album was released in 1978 and would go on to sell 10 million copies and become one of the biggest and best-selling debut albums of all time. The band would continue its success with a series of releases culminating with the release in 1984 simply titled 1984. This album here also went on to sell 10 million copies, and the album produced 4 major singles including Jump, which went all the way to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. However, it would be the last album to feature David Lee Roth until 2012's A Different Kind of Truth. In 1985, David Lee Roth would leave the band at the height of their success due to creative differences over the band's image and sound. Initially, Eddie Van Halen invited Patti Smith of Scandal to front the band, however she declined. Eddie was then introduced to Sammy Hagar via his mechanic. And producer Ted Templeman, who had worked with Van Halen, had also worked with Montrose and Sammy Hagar's solo, making this transition easier. Van Halen bounced back in 1986 with the album 5150. This one here being their first album with Sammy Hagar as frontman, hit #1 on the Billboard 200 album charts and eventually was certified 6 times platinum. The album ushered in a new Van Halen sound, an era dominated by the keyboards. The single Why Can't This Be Love went to #3 on the Billboard Hot 100. And Van Halen would continue this success with a string of #1 albums, including OU812 in 1988, which went 4 times platinum, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge in 1991, which went 3 times platinum, and Balance in 1995, which also went 3 times platinum. A short-lived reunion with Roth took place in 1996, but it only produced 2 new songs for a best-of collection. From 1996 to 1999, former Extreme vocalist Gary Cherone fronted the band. And in 1998, the album simply titled 3 was released, and while this didn't live up to past successes that Van Halen had been known for, it was certified gold at the time. Following the 1999 departure of Cherone, the band briefly reunited with Sammy Hagar for 3 new songs and a tour that took place in 2003. Unfortunately, at the conclusion of the tour in 2005, both parties went their separate ways. But this did make it possible for David Lee Roth to finally return as frontman in 2006, and the band went out for an amazing, triumphant world tour. However, no new material was released for 6 years until 2012 when they put out the album A Different Kind of Truth. And this album here was a stunning return to form and traditional Roth-style era. The album was compiled from old demos from their club days before they were signed and was a fantastic reworking on these. Following a live album in 2015, the band was pretty quiet on all fronts until today when his son Wolfgang broke the shocking news of his father's passing. Eddie's guitar style was like no other. He's a virtuoso, an innovator. His style also helped usher in the golden age of guitar playing in the 1980s. and it became a high water mark for which all other guitar players were measured by. Hit singles, sold out tours, millions of albums sold, and induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame only begins to explain the magnitude of Eddie Van Halen and the band's legacy. Eddie was part of pop culture references in movies and song lyrics, and his iconic Frankenstein guitar has become as much an iconic part of pop culture symbolism in the 80s as anything else. In closing, I hope that with the magnitude of Eddie Van Halen's contribution to music, that there is a tribute show to the equivalent of when Queen did their show and their tribute to Freddie Mercury's passing. I'd love to see the band back together with both Sammy and Dave fronting, with Wolfgang and Michael on bass, and then a series of guest guitar players coming in paying tribute to Eddie Van Halen. What an amazing way to celebrate this huge legacy of one of the most amazing musicians of all time. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, please leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts, your memories on Van Halen, on Eddie Van Halen himself. Let me know the things that are on your mind. Have a great day, take care, and may Eddie Van Halen rest in peace.